Welcome guys to another little tower defense tutorial. Now today's tutorial isn't really going to be specific to this tutorial series, really. I mean, you could use it in a lot of different ways, but the most important thing about today's is we are going to deal with how our units and everything get set up and updated. We've got a custom update that uses one mono behavior to update everything. It's a little bit different than probably what you guys are used to. And secondly, it's pretty performant. Usually I'm sitting here at 60 frames or something like that, and as you can see, I'm easily running way above 60. Not super above, but you get the gist of it. And our towers, they're kind of sucky towers, so they take a long time to shoot and stuff. And the NPCs are actually, getting detected and shot at like they're supposed to and everything. But for the most part, this is going on in the background pretty under the hood. One update is running to update everything the way it should, and then our physics update, if you don't recall, is a list, and it only updates one per physics frame. So the checking of the targets only gets one per physics frame, which you could have, I don't know how many frames, but I know it's a fixed frame rate. And with any case, for a fact that this runs really, really well. I mean, I'm sitting here. I had this, and I had over 100 enemies on the screen, like literally, and it was doing extremely well. I'm talking, I'm starting to drop them, but there's a lot of stuff on the screen, a lot of turrets, a lot of bullets, and I'm still above 70. And plus, you also got to remember, I'm recording as well. That takes a lot off of me for recording. It really does. And I'm in the editor, so this right here would be extremely a lot more on a build. On a build, this would run insanely higher. But anyway, we've got this, and we're drawing. That's fine. We've got our new script, which I called Unit 1. Okay, it's got navigation. It's got full navigation and everything in the game. It really does. Compared to our other script, which run like super slow compared to this is insanely a lot better. So, get the gist of it, and here's what I'm talking about. This new script right here, Game Updater, which you can call it Tick Manager, call it whatever you want. I just called it Game Updater because it updates stuff in the game. I mean, it's probably not the update that you're thinking of, like, hey, I updated my game from patch or whatever. But it's doing all that it's supposed to do, in my case anyway. But let's look at how this works. This script right here is just a simple stripped down version of what we used to have. Okay, but I've got all the values and everything, and fire times and all that good stuff. But let's look at some code for it, and you will see what this does in itself. Now, the first thing that we're going to look at is Unit 1. Okay? Unit 1 has all the basic variables from our other turrets and stuff. Pretty easy stuff. We get our pooler because we actually use physics-based bullets and all this good stuff. Now we have this override start, which just does a lookup, and whatever start is in the base version of our inherited class, which we'll get into a minute. But notice anything. You got a start method, a destroy, an update, on update. This isn't a regular update like you're used to. This is on update. So this never gets called unless another script goes, hey, update me. You know, you have to call this function up. Okay, and it calls has target. And then it does a bunch of its junk. Okay? And that's basically what it is. This bunch of junk. We've got a frame count to separate, you know, hey, get power. And then we get enemy is still here. And we still do a physics overlap spear and grab the first one out of the array. Okay, if the colliders are above the length of 1. So there is no update. There's only really a start in here, right? And an on destroy, I mean on update, you know, pretty much doesn't get called. So what's with this unit object? Okay, unit object right here has a start, a destroy, but it's an abstract class and it's part of inheriting from power object. Okay, now in the start method on this one, where it starts off, because this virtual and it's protected, so it's not publicly accessible from any other class. It's not public like this one is. I can't call this outside of an inherited class. Like unit 1 right here, this class inherits from unit object right here. So unit 1 can call this protected thing. Okay? Because initially that's what it's doing in its start method. It's calling up the start. And see how it's protected override? But we still call the base version of it. Because the base version goes all units dot add. Okay, and it adds this, which we have an interface right here of iUnit. The iUnit is not a new class. Okay, it actually does the on update, get enemy, death, and stuff like that. It's an interface class. And it's an interface. It's not really a class. Okay. Nothing new. So we're adding, and on the destroy we remove. So this is doing something with the list, right? But where is this list? Okay, where's this list? Well, let's go and look at power object. Remember how we used to have this power managing script and stuff like that? We no longer are going to have that. We're going to have the units itself inherit from power object. Okay, anything that uses power will probably inherit from this. So now we got this protected static here, float. So everything that inherits from us gets a power variable. So if we wanted to make a power plant or something that produces power, all we have to do is inherit from this and update this float to go a higher digit, right? We just go pretty much like, hey, void add power, blah blah blah, do a float because it's a float, values, and then we go in here and we just, let's scoot this down, we go power plus equals values. Okay, and then in my unit 1 here, I could literally go in here in our update and go if power is greater than 100F, let's say, or less than 100F, we call add power. Oh, I didn't make that public, did I? This isn't public, so now I can't access this. Well, if I put this protected, I can access this inside of this class. So I can go add power, and it takes a value. We'll just put 10F, right? So every single on update that this gets called, if the power is less than 100, we add power to it. And this is a Unit 1 class. So it'd be very easy for us to make a power plant class. Okay? Which, you know, that's pretty much it right there. We pretty much did the hardest part about it right there. But there's no update in here, right? Just this on update. So where's this actually get called? And I'll leave this function in here. This works for me. So we get power from a power object and we return a value. That's all this does. If power is greater than 0 and cap is less than or equal to max cap, then we do this stuff here. Okay? Now, the statics, this will go across all the other classes. So every single one of these Unit 1 objects, they have access to the same variable. So in the game, you'll have a class like this. You'll have a regular thing like this. Well, when you instantiate an object this way, every one of these objects has a version of this, right? It has its own version of it. When you do a static like this, protected static, this class right here has access to only one variable across all the classes from power object. So when we go and look at power, like the variable down here of power, this variable, and we go plus plus maybe, that power variable right here is a singleton. It can only it's only one variable in the whole entire program. It's one variable. It doesn't exist any other duplicates. You cannot have a duplicate of a static like this. Okay? It can only be one. Alright? This version of it, protected float, this right here, when we instantiate a unit 1 or maybe a power plant later, it has its own version of this. Okay? Its own version of these variables here. This is a single version that can only exist one. This can be multiple. This right here is a protected variable. It's written out and it's kind of Singlish, but it's not overridable. Every script has its own version of it, but it only does one specific thing anyway, so it really doesn't matter. The game itself won't care about this at all. It'll just do exactly what it's programmed to do at one point. Just like a vector 3. Okay, vector3.set. Like, you go in here and you go vector3 t equals new vector3, and you go 1f slash 1f slash 1f, and then later on you go, hey, guess what, vector3 dot 0. This is actually like, I believe it's a property, isn't it? A property? And this will go t equals vector3 dot 0. Isn't this a property? No, it's shorthand run. It's probably a constant. I would probably say that's a constant, and then you're just giving it the constant name. But you know, that's how that works. Okay, it's like a function that there's only really one that, You know what? I'm just going to forget about that before I get myself all confused and not talking the way I should. So we went through this power thing, right? So now we got to go into this tick manager. This tick manager is where our list of stuff is. And notice how this is public, protected, static. So in order for another class to access this, I've got to inherit from this. That's why power inherits from tick manager, because tick manager is responsible for holding this stuff right here. This is a static right here of this, which is fine. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. We don't even have to have this here. Well, we do if we want this function to exist. Okay? So this will iterate and go through each one of our units one at a time. So if we call this up 30 times, we're only updating 30 units. It's to stretch it out so that we're not calling 100 units to do a spear cast every single frame, because it's not needed. I mean, 100 units, it would take like 2 seconds to do. I mean, literally 2 seconds to update each one individually. So it's not really a big drag to do it, you know, to space it out like this, like a stepping stone. Okay, because all it does is increase it by 1, does the dividing and all that stuff, and then calls get enemy. So this tick manager is responsible for this collection. And like I said, this protected static, this right here will only allow one of these lists to exist in the game. That's it. It's if you try to create another list with the same name inside of this class, it will throw errors, or I don't even think you can use this name at all in the rest of the program. I think it's just taken, period. But I'm not too sure. I don't think the compiler and everything will differentiate if you try to use all units again somewhere. But how long is this already? Well, I'm going to put a cut in this video and do a part 2. So don't fry you guys' brain out if you guys don't realize what's going on right now. It will be explained pretty thoroughly in the next video. It will be like, you guys won't have to wait or anything else. I just don't want it to be like a billion minutes long, because it will get pretty draggy. So thanks guys for watching. Peace out and take care, and I will record the next video like pretty much in like 2 minutes. So peace out everybody, and watch for the second part of this. This is War, over and out.